If you're a G-Shock collector, G-Shock has made you a touchscreen smartwatch. If you're everyone else, well, maybe it's not going to be for you. I'm Andy Boxall, you're watching Unboxall TV, and this is the G-Shock GSW-H1000. I'm going to start out talking about the GSW-H1000 like a G-Shock collector. And as a G-Shock collector, I think it's brilliant and I love it. Casio knows its audience, and the GSW-H1000 doesn't deviate far from the established G-Shock recipe. It has the required level of toughness, a 200-meter water resistance rating, the buttons are large and easy to press, and the clasp has 2 prongs, plus, of course, the case is made out of hard-wearing resin. It's also big like some G-Shocks. It's easily as big as the old Gravity Master. You can see here the sort of width is similar and the diameter of the case is similar, and it wears similarly on the wrist. And comparing it to a Frogman, it's of a similar size. See again in terms of the thickness. It's a big watch. At more than 15 millimeters thick, it's not something that fits easily under your cuff. However, Casio knows how to make a big watch, and the size and the 104-gram weight is hidden rather well on the wrist, helped in part by the excellent strap. And there are soft wrist guards separating the strap from the case that make it sit centrally and balance it really well on your wrist. It's built like a Master of G-Shock with materials to match. The case back is made of titanium, the buttons are aluminium. It looks like a G-Shock. It wears like a G-Shock. It is a G-Shock. We could stop here because the technical achievement of creating a true G-Shock watch with all of its toughness and a smartwatch with a touchscreen at the same time, it's deeply impressive, and the hardware itself is fantastic if you're a G-Shock collector. So is that it then? Well, no. While the G-Shock collector in me likes the GSW-H1000 a lot, the tech journalist in me has a slightly different feeling. When you start to look at the GSW-H1000 not as a G-Shock fan, but as someone who wants to buy a smartwatch, then issues start to appear. First, Casio will not reveal the processor used or the amount of RAM inside, 2 standard facts tech buyers use to make a good decision and compare it to other models. Now I'm going to guess that it's a Qualcomm Snapdragon Wear 3100 chip inside because it's the industry standard at the moment, and if it was the newer, more desirable Snapdragon 4100, then I think Casio would want to shout about it. Regardless of the business decisions about why it can't talk about the chip, Casio just hasn't put much emphasis on the tech side of the GSW-H1000, and it hurts it when you examine it as a tech buyer and not as a G-Shock buyer. Moving on. Regardless of the chip, the performance is actually really good, which softens the annoyance of not knowing the technical specifications inside. The 1.3-inch AMOLED screen is bright and it's responsive, and the GSW has a second screen over the top of the main AMOLED screen, which works as the always-on screen. So this now disappears and becomes an LCD display over the top, and this saves on battery life. It also helps you see the ambient time in low light, and because Casio has done such a great job of integrating G-Shock familiar technology and styles into this watch, you get the choice of a positive or negative look for the ambient display, which is a really nice touch, just like some all-digital G-Shocks. Google's Wear OS software is basically the same here as it is on other smartwatches. It shows your notifications, it tracks fitness using Google Fit and a Casio fitness app, and it runs apps downloaded from Google Play. What it isn't is especially different to any other Wear OS watch. But that's not a criticism of this particular model, but really of all Wear OS watches. It wouldn't be a G-Shock without a packed sensor array. There's a heart rate sensor on the back, plus there's a magnetometer, a pressure sensor, a gyroscope, and an accelerometer. It displays all of those usual activity tools that we as G-Shock wearers really like, such as a tide graph. There's further evidence that this is a G-Shock for G-Shock people. There's no NFC, so that means no Google Pay. The battery life is excellent though, helped by that dual display, lasting 2 days with constant use, or if you just leave the watch on this ambient display, it'll last for about a month just as showing you the time, like a G-Shock. So let's sum up here. The GSW-H1000 is a good smartwatch, but it's not a great smartwatch. The size is going to put people off, especially if they're looking at it as an Apple Watch alternative. And the lack of NFC doesn't help, but it's probably the price that's the biggest barrier. It's £599 or $699. And that's more than twice the price of an Apple Watch SE, and on a technical level, it's not as capable. But here's the thing, G-Shock collectors don't want an Apple Watch, but they will want a GSW-H1000, and if that's you, I think you're really going to like it. But if you're looking at this as a smartwatch first and a G-Shock second, I think you're going to want to take a really close look at the competition.